Hi folks, we're out in the garden. I've just got a few little jobs to do out of here. One of them is going to be to cut the grass, hopefully for the last time this year, before we put our lawnmower away for the winter period, which is probably going to be about 4 to 5 months. So I'm just going to show you, once I've cut the grass, what I'm going to do to make sure that my mower starts cleanly next year. Keep watching. But anyway, what I'll do, I'll show you now what we're going to do just to store the lawnmower over the winter period. Just little tips really, just to make sure that it hopefully does start next time we go to use it in about 5 months' time. But first of all, I've got a little message out for Carl Grenfell. Lucy got in contact with me, Carl, and just said she'd like you to have a little message on your birthday, because it's your birthday today. You do watch my channel, which is very nice. And I hope you got your t-shirt as well, by the way. She chose the size, not me, so I hope it's the right size for you anyway. Anyway, all the best, mate. Happy birthday today, which is the 27th of October, 2016. You know how old you are. I don't, but anyway, your little missus done that for you. Anyway, happy birthday, mate. Right, let's have a look at this lawnmower now. Let's just see what we can do to hopefully make it start next year. Right, so obviously there's different types of lawnmowers out there. I'm going to predominantly be looking at this type, which is the Briggs & Stratton type lawnmower, with the type of push prime carburettor, where the carburettor mounts directly on top of the fuel tank. You've seen this many a time in my YouTube videos. It's the standard engine, depending on what lawnmower it's fitted to, will depend on what they want to call it. This one's called a Quattro 40. They can be called Briggs & Stratton Classics. They can be called Champions, which is this. They can be called Sovereigns. There's plenty of different names they call them, but the basic one, as you know, is this one with this type push prime button on the side there, with the little fuel tank there, and the exhaust is on this side. So initially, what I would say first of all is that once you've finished it, the thing to notice with these type of caps, if you leave your lawnmower outside, these caps are not impervious to water. So if it rains and you leave it outside, water can get through there. Let's just undo that and show you. All that they have on the inside of these is just a little piece of cork there, and as you can see, that's got holes in as well, and that's basically how the air cap breathes. So when fuel gets sucked out, air basically gets sucked in, and it's very common to look in there after leaving it out all winter, for example, and you can actually find water in here where it's crept in. I don't know if you can see through there. Yeah, if you just see closely, look, can you see it, look, straight through, you can see the deck through one of them holes there. Even though it's got one of these little bits of cork in, that's not good enough to actually keep the water out of there, and that can cause you problems. That can make your petrol go stale as well. And another thing is first of all, you want to really, on your last cut, don't fill your tank right away up so it's got loads of fuel in there. Make sure you've nearly drained it all out, and if you've still got some in the bottom there, maybe a bit of residue, if you just stick a cloth in there and put it somewhere safe out of the way of any flames or whatever, and capillary reaction will suck out all the last bit of fluid in there and leave you inside of your tank dry. So that's one way, but bottom line is don't leave any fuel in there to go stale. Modern petrols nowadays tend to have different lot of chemicals in than they did years ago, and after a period of months they do tend to go off, and they're not as potent as they once was. You could take your air filter off and just give it a clean out. Underneath here is a normal sign of grease or dirt which may have collected under here. Again, just take it off. It's a little bit of sponge under there. That's only one screw. The cap comes off and you'll see the sponge inside. So that's another thing. Clean your air filter. Maybe put some light oil on it as well. And also look around your deck as well. Now here, for example, you can see stuff built up there. Now if you're leaving your lawnmower outside, this sort of stuff will gather the rain and hold moisture in it, and this is what actually rots the decks out. You see these rot out. They're not the best well protected decks out there, so anything you can do to stop water sort of sitting there will be beneficial for you and your deck rotting out. So that's got to be cleaned out. Another thing too is to look underneath your deck, and again, most people, when they have finished cutting, 9 times out of 10 the grass can be damp once you've had your last cut, so you may be wanting to look underneath in case there's any damp again sitting around there, large bits of grass and all that. Before you do that, pull the spark plug lead off, just to make sure that it can't start anyway, and take your grass bag off, or your grass box, put it down to one side, have a look in here, any sort of stuff sitting on here, as you can probably see there, get rid of all that, because that's what rusts all the decorate. So get it all off of there. Again, you haven't got to go too mad. You're not looking for a spotless clean thing. You just don't want to have loads of stuff sitting there. And as you can see, throughout the years, where I've not actually done this on this one, a hole's gone through there. But don't forget, this mower is about 16 years old, so realistically, it's not really done too bad. This is one of the first mowers I had, and we're still using it now. So another thing you want to do is just literally take the bag off, as I said, lift the flap up, and if you push the mower down there, like that, you can actually get it to sit nicely upside down. Like that. The oil in the engine is going to fall towards the back of the engine, so there's no fear of it actually filling up the carb or going through the inlet tube through tipping it up the wrong way. If you go sideways away from the carburettor, you can fill up that little compartment on the other side here, just above the exhaust pipe, and then if you put it down quickly and try to start it straight away, it fills up the actual air filter. And you've probably seen lawnmowers sometimes where they're saturated with oil. That's because it's been tipped up the wrong way. So underneath, again, you're looking at grass collecting around the obvious points, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of grass sitting here. Just take a scraper to it and just scrape that off, just to make sure that won't rot the deck out, the deck out as well from the inside out. So just make sure that's clean. Check your blade, and also just ensure that there's nothing tangled around the boss for the blade, because that can cause it to pull over slow sometimes. So yeah, basically a general good clean up under here, and that's all really you need to do. So that's all we need to do underneath. Nothing really, just a visual really. And again, a typical example, if you leave stuff underneath there, as you can see here, holes will start to develop. Now bearing in mind this one's in 16 years old, so it's not done too bad. But I've seen these rot up to 5 years old, only because people don't take the time to clean them off, and they just leave them sitting outside, and they don't pull off all the stuff underneath. And that's what you end up with, that. And the main thing also to remember is when you push it into your lawnmower, when you push it into your summer house, when you push it into your shed, undercover or whatever you do, you might throw a tarpaulin over it. Don't have it tipped up or standing up to try and take up less space. Leave it on the deck like that, because the oil inside the engine has to go somewhere when you tip it up, and there's vents that lead into the carburettor, and if you tip it up this way, for example, and have it stored up that way, when you put it down and go to try and start it, that oil gets sucked straight through into the carburettor and can clog up your air filter, and that gives you a whole set of problems as well. So main problem when starting from the new year is put fresh petrol in. Make sure there's no water in the tank. By doing that, what you can also do, you can take this cap off, put some cling film over the top, and then put it back on again. And you could do that if you have to leave it outside. That's just one way to stop any moisture or water entering the actual fuel tank. But as I say, first of all, run it till it's nearly run out. When it starts to hunt, take the cap off, put a bit of rag in there, because it's very hard to get every single drop of lawnmower out or petrol out of the lawnmower. Put a bit of rag in there, capillary reaction will suck up, and then make sure you throw that and dispose of that correctly, and don't do that, leave it open near a flame, obviously. Leave it outside so it's well ventilated when you're doing that. And hopefully when you come to start it up next season, you'll put fresh petrol in there, you'll pump on the primer maybe 4, 5, 6 times to replenish the carburetor and to push fresh petrol into the engine, and providing that you've got a decent spark, there's no reason why you shouldn't have. Providing you've got no contaminant in there, if you've stood it up the right way and you've not let any stuff enter the inlet tube via tipping it up the wrong way, and providing that you've got a nice clean air filter, there's no reason why that shouldn't start up first or second pull when you come to start it up next season. Most people don't do that. They'll just put it into their garden shed, leave it there, or put it out under a sling of tarpaulin over it, bring it out next year, go to start it or try to start it, and it won't start. The reasons being, 9 times out of 10, and the biggest problem is the petrol has gone off, or water's entered there and you've got water in there as well, or they've tipped it up the wrong way and stored it on its side or something, and oil's got into the inlet manifold, which then in turn gets into the carbon, and it won't start then. Anyway, hope that was helpful to you. Happy birthday anyway, Carl, from Martin and Sharon, and also all our subscribers as well. If you want to leave a little message down there for Carl Grenfell, likes our videos. And until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye for now.